what do you mean?
Hello everybody, today I am back with a different video and it is a story time, and I know the title is quite drastic, but I promise you that that's not actually clickbait and I was an inch away from death. But yeah, basically I've never done a story time on my channel and I just thought it would be quite cool to do one because, you know, and it's a good story to tell, so I wanted to share it with you guys. So without further ado, let's go. So it was last Friday and it was quite cold and it was wet, so it was raining, and my uncle had come over to visit. There's Anna saying it was wet. Here she is, posing with an amazing face. So as Anna and I were saying, it was cold and it was wet, and my uncle had come over to have a dinner with us because he lives in Italy. So he'd come over to visit us and we had a dinner, and it was a chicken dinner, and I don't like chicken that much and my braces had just been tightened that day. So please bear in mind that that was not a great meal for me, but you know, it was the time that counted, like spending with family. Anyways, it was cold and it was wet and we had just finished our dinner. My dad had gone and he hailed a cab, but me, my brother, my mum and my uncle, we didn't realise. So my dad then ended up walking off and letting the cab go, while me, my uncle, my mum and my brother walked home. My dad had walked home before that as well because we left slightly later from the restaurant. So we were walking home and there are quite a few back streets that we had to go through on the way home, if you know what I mean. So there was one where cars can come in from this way, they can come in from this way, and they can come in from that way, and the road that I was crossing was that way. I hope you got that, guys. And there was a car there, and my mum and my uncle had crossed the road, and me and my brother were there waiting to cross the road, but the car was there. So yeah, I was wearing my big puffy winter coat because it was cold and it was wet and it was dark, and I had a big hood on, and my hood has like fur around it, and my hood was only attached to my coat by like one button because it kind of came off of all the other buttons previously. So because of that I couldn't really see everything that like clearly, you know, it was a bit, everything was a bit muffled, and also it was dark, so it was quite hard to see. But we could tell that there was this car there, and me and my brother were like, oh, go car go, you can go before us, it's fine, we'll cross after you cross the road. So we're like, go car go, and he's like, no. And so then I don't realise this, but my brother crosses the road after he says like, no, it's fine, you can go first. But because obviously I couldn't see it because of my big hood, so I then looked up and I could see that my brother had crossed the road, and then I was like, oh, it's fine, go car go, I don't want to waste your time anymore. And the car was like, no. So I was like, no, go car go, it's fine, you can go. And the car was like, no. So I was like, you know what, car, I'm going to cross this road. So I started to cross the road and I was wearing my Superstars, and obviously Superstars don't have the best grip on the bottom. I love my Superstars, but in this case they were not great at helping me through the situation. So yeah, since they don't have great grip, and as I said, it was cold and it was wet as it had been raining, and I think it was still raining, what do? I walk across the road, and in front of the car I slip and I fell like onto my back, so there was no way for me to get up really quickly because I'd fallen into a really awkward position. Kind of like this, and my arms were like, ah, oh crap. Look, I was lying down on the road. So since it was cold and dark as well, as I've probably mentioned a million times this video, the car could not see me anymore because I had slipped out of sight. So the car had thought that I had crossed the road. So since the car thought that I had crossed the road, what does the car do other than keep driving? And I'll insert a picture here, but the car was like, I can't remember the exact car and what type it was, but I know it was a silver car. And you know how cars, like as the picture will show, you know how it has like a bonnet, and then it has like the two front wheels, and like the bonnet has a gap in between the road and like the car? I was stuck underneath that gap, and the car was still moving, and I was underneath the car, right? And my brother was watching this, but he was quite like a bit scared, so he didn't tell my mum, and my mum and my uncle were just carrying on walking down the road, really near where I was, but they were still walking. Well, I was stuck underneath a moving car. I looked up and all I could see was like wires and like metal bits and like big tubes and stuff, and it was really scary. But the thing is, I couldn't feel any emotions. I was sort of just numbed. Like, I always think, I don't know if you guys have ever thought like this before, but I always think like before I die I'm gonna say like, oh, I love you mum, I love you world, I love you friends and stuff like that. But like when it was in that moment, you don't think of anything. All your mind is set on is like survival, 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 because this is where the title of the video comes from. The car wheel was about an inch away from me. So literally I was an inch away from death, and it was still moving all this time. And this happened in like a millisecond, but I had to like think so much about how I would survive, and all my feelings were like numbed. You can't feel anything. Like, it was as if the car was to run me over, I wouldn't feel anything. Like, it felt like all my pain was completely numbed. I don't know why. But when you're in that like sort of a moment, it's so like weird, and it was just so scary to think that the car wheel was an inch away from running me over. But there was a good side to it as well, because although I was an inch away from death and the car wheel running me over, to the other side of me, I was an inch away from getting out of the car and escaping. So I had to do something really weird and really silly, which you wouldn't think I would have like had to have done in this situation. But oh my god, I had to do it, and it worked. I had to do the fastest log rolls of my life, okay? Oh my god. Thank God the gap between the car and the road was big enough for, like, because I'm quite small, it was just about big enough for me to actually roll out. So I had to do around like 5 or 6 log rolls to get out of this car and escape. And oh my gosh, it's like, oh, it was so weird. Like, I was going like, it felt like that. I was probably going like, but I felt like my heart was racing, and it felt like I was log rolling at 100 miles per hour. It was crazy, and the car must have been thinking, what the F is this girl doing log rolling in the middle of the road when I am trying to drive? I had to log roll quite a lot to be out of the car, like with enough time for me to get up and run without being hit. So I had to do quite a few log rolls. So I'd managed to do enough log rolls, and I managed to do them quickly as well, so that I could really quickly get onto my feet and run across the road. By this time my heart was racing and I was soaking wet. Guys, my arse was like an ice cube. It was so cold and I was shivering, and I was quite shaken by this. But since it was windy and my hood was only attached by one button, as I ran across the road, my hood flew back. So I thought, well, my hood's life is way more important than my own. Why don't I run back and save my lovely hood? Most stupid idea ever, because I go back and I'm about to grab my hood. Literally, my hand is right there, my hood's here. And what does the car do? The car runs over my hood really quickly, and I'm like, damn it. I was so annoyed because my hood's like really fluffy and stuff. It's okay now. I had to give it to my mum because it got like really wet and like dirty and stuff. So after the car had gone over my hood, I managed to get my hood, and I went back to my mum and I was telling her what happened, and my brother was like, oh, thank God you're safe and stuff. But I'm okay and my hood is okay. So that is all that matters now. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, then be sure to give it a big thumbs up and comment down below any stories that you guys have, because I'd love to know. Also, in no way was this video looking for sympathy, and I hope you don't think the title was clickbait, because it wasn't. I literally was an inch away from death. Subscribe if you liked this video and you want more of me. I love you lots, to the moon and back. Also, ignore my hair, it's been horrible this video, but yeah, I love you guys to the moon and back, and yeah, see you later, bye! Let it go, make my body go, take our bodies higher and higher and higher, we can go. Also guys, subscribe to Anna, because she's nearly at 700, she's super close, and sorry if my blush was overboard this video, I don't know, but yeah. Bye!